thank you for joining 21 Prodexpo North Conference. I'm honored to welcome in this chat Mr. Vlaho Kojakovic, Director of Property and Tourism in the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Mr. Kojakovic is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in the banking and real estate sectors, and his valuable insights will help us get a grasp of the broader investment landscape, especially in Southeast Europe region. Mr. Kojakovic, welcome to Prodexpo North.
Thank you so much, Kostas, and thank you for inviting us.
There's a lot to unpack as regards the hospitality investment landscape, but first I would like to start from the basics. Can you explain to us the role of EBRD and elaborate on its mission and footprint in the European investments?
Of course. Maybe I will ask your studio to share a couple of slides, which I think is going to help your viewers and participants to understand a little bit broader function. Next slide, please. So EBRD is actually supporting the development of sustainable and functioning market economies. It's made of 69 countries and 2 intergovernmental institutions as our shareholders, and we have around 30 billion of authorized capital. This is the highest rating agency. It's a AAA rating from a number of rating agencies that we have. On the next slide, you will be able to see the countries of operation where we operate. So I always say it's from Morocco to Mongolia. It really stretches, and the imagination that one can have is that they are very different markets, especially when it comes to real estate. Real estate, which is a local industry, is very different experience working in all of these countries. On the next slide, you will be able to understand what we are trying to do. We are trying to provision the modern real estate infrastructure in essential to support our region's economic expansion and diversification. We have actually been very new in Greece, opening the office just a few years ago, and we have focused very much on strengthening the competitiveness by facilitating expansion to the private sector, supporting sustainable energy and infrastructure, which is in the core of sustainable real estate, and also enhancing financial sector resilience. Although we are actually with you in Athens and throughout Greece only for 3 or 4 years, we have really done actually quite well. We have disbursed until today 4.2 billion euros over 71 projects. In the last year, which was a crisis year for everybody, in a zero game around the world, I would say, we have annual bank investment of almost 800 million euro over 17 projects. On the next slide, I will move to my sector, the sector which I'm heading, and the sector which is topical very much for this conference and for the investments which are coming in the coming years in hospitality, in commercial real estate, in logistics. Our focus is to green the sustainable buildings, to bring inclusive and competitive hospitality, and to create more greener cities. Greener cities, which we actually are very much involved with a number of cities in Greece. Hotels, we are involved with a number of hospitality providers in Greece. And commercial property, also we have partnered with one of your top developers that you will see maybe later on in the discussion. On the next slide, there are a few numbers of what we did over the last 25 years. We have around 3.5 billion euro of cumulative investment, which is spread from Cyprus and Greece all the way to the Baltics. And finally, on the next slide, to answer your question, how we work, we actually come both as equity, debt, and mezzanine provider. When it comes to equity, we are investing up to 20% of the equity needs, but we always need to have a senior sponsor who is reliable and who is in the driving seat. The bank as EBRD is not equipped to have that kind of role, so we need to rely on others. And when it comes to debt financing, we are working with local banks. In Greece, we are working with all the banks. We have shareholders in some of the banks, but we have very strong relationship when it comes to project financing, when it comes to bonds, or when it comes to capital market transactions. So I hope that this gives you a little bit of an overview of where we are coming from.
I mean, the work done is truly remarkable. As we move forward, can you please provide us with some more information on the initiatives of EBRD to help and support the business recovery, especially in tourism that we're talking about, in the post-COVID era?
No, absolutely. We have a number of approaches, actually. Just last year, we started with World Tourism Organization immediately after the offset of the crisis in April and May, choosing 13 countries of operation, with Greece being actually on top, with World Tourism Organization working with local ministries, but also with local stakeholders, how to reposition the tourism, which is going to actually be changed in its core. I'm also part of the Global Crisis Committee with the World Health Organization, World Tourism Organization, and European Commission. And just last week, we had your Minister of Tourism, who is also very much active there. And we see that Greece and Cyprus are really leading the role in Europe when it comes to let's move tourism in 2021. Let's organize the internal travel within Europe, but also with neighbors such as Israel, such as the regional neighbors that tourists are actually going to come to Greek islands and to Greek mainland. So it's a work in progress, and I would say looking at the lockdowns as they are happening, and then a little bit of optimism which comes after each lockdown, I believe that with the rollout of vaccine, we will have more prospects in the coming years. But we have launched a couple of things. Apart from World Tourism Organization, we also launched a framework agreement of 250 million for the tourism in Southeast Europe, which stretches from Croatia to Montenegro to Greece. And we are working also with commercial banks. With Erste Bank, for example, we signed last year 100 million facility where they will actually try to approach a number of SMEs that EBRD as a relatively cumbersome institution would have difficulties disbursing necessary funds to. Apart from that, we also recently started and are progressing with culture heritage framework. And we believe that culture heritage is in the core of tourism, especially in a country like Greece. If you look at from Mount Athos down to Peloponnese, I think there are so many hotspots which are actually deserving to be not only discovered, but commercialized in the right, sustainable and green way. And this is something that our experts are trying to help before we provide financing to the private sector. Apart from that, we are looking constantly how to actually support our existing clients. So last week, like most commercial banks, we have actually provided repayment holidays. We are looking at short-term measures. We are also looking at long-term measures in terms of restructurings. And I have to knock on the wood, there was no many restructurings up to date because the companies are strong. And I think that we made maybe the right choice at the beginning when we were making judgments who to invest with and who to provide debt to.
Okay, it's quite clear. Within the context, one last question. Within the context of EBRD's operation, can you give us, on a short break, some examples of recent case studies on collaboration of your bank with Greek real estate and hospitality projects?
Sure, absolutely. Maybe we could share again presentation because there are a couple of case studies at the back of the presentation.
Okay.
Because the picture sometimes says more than my words, and I probably boring everybody with my monologue.
No,
so
that's not. No. It's actually quite interesting. No.
You're very kind, Kostas. Okay. But I think probably the pictures will help.
Okay. We will wait then for the control to provide us some picture.
Thank you. I mean, I could just start by saying, you saw in the core of our strategy is urban regeneration, and urban regeneration is very close to my heart. What happened in Europe over the last 20 years, if you look at King's Cross in London, if you look at Berlin, if you look at Barcelona, and I think Athens is very much the new Barcelona. If you look at Copenhagen in the north, the cities live from the inside, from the core. And I think COVID is confirming that because people are more and more afraid of transport, more and more afraid of taking long-haul flights. So creating lifestyle hubs where they will be able both to live as well as work in the environment which is safe, creating and regenerating transport which is more linked to bicycle lanes is something which we love and which we have actually turned into almost the core of our strategy. So if you move few slides down to the case study of demand, I can say
no, it's
that it's one
on
more,
the other
three
direction.
more maybe.
Yeah,
the other
it's
direction,
on the other
correct.
direction. Yeah, the other
Yes.
direction.
Yeah. Just 2 or 3 more. I just wanted to say actually that your country, and I think that the real estate sector in your country is probably the most sophisticated of all the countries where we operate. And my favorite projects are the ones that you will see in the next few slides. So I think we're going down one more slide and then maybe a couple more to the case study demand. Thank you for your help.
Okay, we're closing up.
We are closing up. There we go. There we go. Okay, fantastic, excellent. So the story of demand is quite a remarkable story.
Just to interrupt you, we have 3 more minutes to wrap.
Perfect, excellent. That's enough. One minute for each. Demand is one of these resilient developers consisting of 70 people that went through Greek crisis and actually focused on urban regeneration in Athens and Piraeus. We are absolutely fantastically impressed what they did over the last 3 years with us, regenerating Piraeus into a new live city, which it wasn't in 2016 and 17. And today it has several buildings which are hosting 5,000 employees from all over the world, working from Apple, working for a number of tele companies, and actually creating a real buzz. On the next slide, you will be able to see probably the largest regeneration project in Mediterranean at the moment, which is Hellenikon. Hellenikon, we are part of equity in Hellenikon together with Lambda, and extremely proud that this project is finally moving forward. It's of strategic importance not only for Attica region, but for the whole of Greece and Southeast Europe. Next one is Prodea, and Prodea is one of your best listed REITs, extremely dynamic and extremely successful on many levels, not only in terms of Greece, but also world, I would say Europe-wide, actually a case study that we are proud of. And linked to it is our investment on the next slide to Invel, which actually is managing Prodea. So from that perspective, we are, as you can see, on all the levels. So I will stop here. On the next slide, there are my contacts. So if there are any interests, if there are any requirements, we are very happy to stay in touch with your investment community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kojakovic. It has been a great panel. It has been a great chat. I'm truly fascinated with what we learned up to now.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us once again. Thank you very much.
And please, ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. Stay tuned for after a short break for our next panel.